Have you ever wondered why we call it comedy? So, to understand the genre, we have to look at its etymology. It isn't just about jokes, it's rooted in the Greek word komos, which is a ritual revelry of the village.
So our focus is going to be on comedy mostly and a little bit of tragedy, and then this notion of carnival and the absurd. And they're the sort of important ritualistic foundations of drama. Like this Mel Brooks quote to begin: "Tragedy is when I cut my finger, comedy is when you fall down an open sewer and die." So, comedy, of course, is that which makes us laugh and has a happy ending, a very kind of simplified perspective. Tragedy, what makes us sad and has an unhappy ending, whereas the carnival is a kind of riotous festival. A lot of Shakespearean comedies combine comedy and carnival, if we're defining them separately that way. And then the absurd is what often perplexes and confounds us. So this is Andrew Scott, a scholar who wrote a book called Comedy, and this I think is quite interesting because it ties, certainly in Shakespeare's day, in the Elizabethan era, it was a renaissance in some ways of classicism, of classical studies, and that meant, reading the texts of Cicero and Seneca and Latin translations of the Greek texts. And if you were like Ben Jonson and could read Greek, you could read the original. So you'd read Aristotle's Poetics and look what he has to say about tragedy. So I think it's helpful. A clue to comedy's beginning, Scott writes, may be found in the etymology of the word itself, which is generally agreed to be derived from an amalgamation of the Greek words komos or komai and oda, words that reflects comedy's roots in the Greek peninsula. Komos basically translates as reveal, or komai comes from the word for village. Aristotle preferred the second definition, remarking that the Dorians, quote, call outlying villages komai, the assumption being that comedies were so called not from the revel or komos, that is the revel, but because they toured the villages when expelled from the town in disgrace. So, sort of rooted in the genre of comedy is this idea that they're kind of outliers. They don't belong the sort of mandated theater, right? Oda is uncontroversially translated as song, and so comedy is either a hymn of celebration or, as Dante styled it, a rustic song.
Whether it's a hymn of celebration or a rustic song, comedy remains connected to its origins as an outlier to the mandated structures of society.